I think it's working now because as at yesterday while I was trying it, it's showing control error or something like that, but it's working perfectly fine now.
Okay, maybe I should try my own too now because I also did something related to that yesterday.
Okay. But did you get what James just explained? Because so what he's saying is that now these panels, they are like frames, containers for your control in mobile. Now, the way a web page is to web application, that's the same way a panel is to the mobile application. So everything you want to display on the screen is put in one panel. So if you notice in the panel, you can move from panel 1, panel pad 1 to panel pad 2. And you must even indicate the kind of movement.
Okay.
You guys,
Okay.
so panel 1 will contain the header, the footer, the contents. Once you just get a hold of how to arrange it, then it will display properly on your mobile working preview. But if you don't arrange it properly, if you put your controls outside the panel, the mobile will not be able to display it. So the arrangement is very important. So maybe that's the issue you're having.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, ma.
You're welcome. Okay, any other person before I quickly touch on something I have for us to do?
Can I stop share?
Hello, ma. Good evening, ma.
Yeah, you can stop sharing. Good evening. Yeah, please go on. Hello, George. I thought George is going to say something.
Hello, good evening, ma.
Good evening. I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I was having network issues when he was explaining that of the panel because I experienced similar issue when I was trying to nest my panel and I was receiving an error message that panel cannot be nested control number 6 like that.
Do you want to share your screen and show us? That's the best way we can quickly assist you. Or you are depending on your phone.
Oh, I'm on my phone, but let me see if I can switch to my system.
Okay, so what we are saying basically is that your arrangement of controls on the panel for mobile does matter, that the panel represents your mobile screen. So a panel can have a panel header, a panel footer, and then controls also within the panel. Then there is a panel navigator which indicates the way you move from one panel to another. So you must not put your controls outside the panel. If not, it will not display on the screen or it will not display properly.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. I think I get now.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm coming, quick one. I think I need to quickly. Is there any other person too that attempted and was able to? I would like to really hear from us what our. Okay, I think James has spoken. Abdullahi has spoken. George has spoken. Tunji, Sule. How
Good
did
evening,
it
ma.
go? Good evening.
Sincerely speaking, I was having challenges on how to even install the system on my system. So what I did was to link up with somebody that puts a link of the old version. Though we were told later that the thing was not secure, but I said, okay, even though it's not secure, let me just quickly manage it. So I was able to import that version on my system, of which I was able to get to a particular place called connection stream. And that's why I hooked. And I was able to, that's why I chat you privately that this is what I was facing. I was one that I chatted you privately not too long, about maybe 3 o'clock thereabouts. So I shot it and I sent it to you that this is my challenge. Because when we have that connection stream, in that tutorial you sent to us, there is a place underneath that you can create, you now create the connection and test it. But from the old version I have, there's nothing like that. You only have new, old, and edit and copy, something like that. That's where I hang.
Oh,
Hello?
okay. Hello, yeah, I can hear you. Okay,
Mm.
so but were you able to, which of the components did you use? Did you use the grid component?
Web.
Web.
Because on that version, we only have web and desktop components. So I chose web.
Okay. I'm sorry I didn't see your message on time. I think I just saw it some few minutes ago, but I would look at it. Maybe
But I was even asking if there's a way you can get a link like that one that we can bypass all this downloading, because sometimes maybe the network, because if you are downloading, you almost get to the place, the thing will just hang. You restart again. That's what I've been battling since on Thursday till now. So what me have suggested, if there's a link that can help us with that Alpha Community Edition, I'll be very good, we'll be very grateful. That will just link directly and it will just install on our system, just like that old version was.
okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll see how to solve that problem. Yeah. Okay. Any other person? Shola Ayeni, tell us what you're able to do.
Okay, I'm good evening. Okay, on my hand here, I give it a shot. I had a good challenge at first, but I went online to read more and I was able to buy. I can't just say, okay, this is what I did and this is what I did not. Now, but for now, I have no issue. I will screenshot my work to you tomorrow. I will have done that now, but I have low battery on my system, so I'm using my phone. So tomorrow I will screenshot the little I've done and send to you.
Okay, great. But were you able to complete the installation, or you had?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's just for you.
I think those that are having issue with their installation, perhaps the system configuration also need to be checked.
Yes, all right. But well, we'll see what works for them. Maybe they use a lower version or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Good evening, Ma.
Good evening.
Okay, I was also having that connection, my data stream connection. So I was having that error because at first I was using the free learning tutorial site to learn. So when I complained on the group, I complained, like I used throughout last night to resolve that error, but it didn't work out. So today, when I complained on the group, someone told me to use the link you sent, the documentation link you sent, instead to work with it, and I was able to resolve the issue. So that was where I was able to work to. So I don't know, maybe after the class today, I'll move ahead.
Okay, that would be good.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to show us what you have done?
It's on my system and I'm connected with my phone right now.
Okay.
I also sent you a
Well,
message. You were
enjoying-
replying me at the point. I was the one. I sent you 2 screenshots. So you asked me to run a test. Test.
Okay, you're the one using my SQL, right?
Yes, ma.
Okay, no problem. I'll get back to you after now. Any
Okay,
other?
thank you.
Okay. If there's no other person, I'll just quickly explain concept of database to us. Just a second. I'm trying to pull up something I can use. But how is the learning experience generally for us?
Yes, ma. To me, I feel like it's actually a good experience because you don't have to know much of coding. Just a little idea about the app will help you, and the software, sorry, will help you develop like a working app. But also, I was not able to get the link to the first class, so I'm finding it a little bit challenging to catch up with everything. But
You mean you're not in the Thursday class?
yeah, I was not in the first class, yes, because they didn't. I was not sent the link to the class, so I'm trying to catch up with everything now.
Oh, okay, interesting. So we had an introduction on Thursday, and I'll need that profile from you. So tell me your background, like what you studied, or if you are still in school, what you are studying, and what's your interest for joining these classes. I actually
Okay, ma.
noted down the names, so I'll note your name down as well.
Okay, ma. I'm currently a 400 level student at Federal University of Technology. I'm studying electrical engineering. Actually, my interest is data analysis, but the app development, I see it as another opportunity to learn a skill too. So
Yeah, very, very important. Okay, so I just want to encourage everyone in this class that there are different skills you are going to learn in this training. The first one you're already learning now is Alpha 5. The next one we learn is how to build a chatbot. That is quite much more easier and straightforward to do, but we'll get to that point. And then the last one we'll learn in the last 2 sessions is data analysis, which is also something very important for people to know. And in between classes, if there are things I feel that you should know, I would also mention, I'll also describe, I'll also mention them and describe them to you. So, but my main purpose is that you learn 1 or 2 skills from this training, as in you are able to create something. I love, creating products, creating solutions, creating softwares without necessarily using, what's it called? Without necessarily coding, right? So there are many things that we've put together in this training, but the best you get from the training depends on you yourself and how much you practice, And well, we are also a network, so I'm sure we can learn from each other during this training and even after the training. Feel free to reach out and all that. So there's something that I would like to also quickly bounce off us today is the knowledge on database. Now, Alpha 5 is built on data applications, as in database. So database is a storage area for your data, actually. So is the storage point for your data. And most web applications, so there's web application and there's websites. Websites sometimes are just to display information. Like, let's say you go to MTN website now, or you go to, or you on MTN website, what you just be seeing is maybe information about your data plan, about the products that MTN has or the new product offers, advert placements and things like that. But there's also web application. Web application allows users to impute data. For example, your school portal is a web application because there you can interact with the website. So there
Hello, ma'am. We can't hear you, ma'am.
Hello, we can't hear you. Oh, okay. I get that was our network and should probably. So it's not only Nigeria that will suffer this.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we
Yes,
lost
ma'am.
it.
Yes, ma'am. We can.
I kept on talking, only for me to realize that there was network disconnection. Sorry about that. I had to quickly switch my network. So what was the last thing you heard?
You were introducing us.
Database.
You were
Okay,
talking about two databases, portal.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah. So I was just trying to differentiate between web application and websites. Websites simply display information. Web application take information and give information. So web application is two ways, but website is just to display information. So Alpha 5 will actually help you do a lot more as a do a lot with web application. For web application, you always need a database where the data goes into. So I just wanted to introduce us to the concept of database, having a general understanding of database. So I'm going to run through a short tutorial I've done before now, just to explain databases to you.
No, we can't see your screen again.
Oh, okay. Sorry, just a minute. Let me share screen now. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, you are seeing your screen now.
Okay. Okay, fine. So just like I said, I'll just explain quickly to us what a database is so that you have a general understanding of database as you work with Alpha 5. So you don't need to have in-depth knowledge of database working with Alpha 5, but a general understanding of database is going to help you. So it's important that there's a lot of focus now on data application because data is seen as an asset. Most organizations, they want to be able to collect data, and then they also want to be able to create reports for this data. For example, let's say at your office place, there are forms that you work with manually. You want to be able to get users to fill in those details of the form and then create reports on the go. With that, you can do that easily with Alpha 5. So data is seen as an asset, then data technology and data quality. Data as an asset really is important because there's a lot of business focus on data now, and data can be used to infer a lot of information. So it's important we collect this data electronically. These are just different forms of data. Okay, so this is the main thing I really want to explain to us. So in the concept of data understanding, right? Data actually is stored as unit of information. For example, when you have a school database, like I was trying to explain, in that school database, what are the nouns? I prefer to use the word noun because we can relate to that easily. Noun is the name of a person, object, place, or thing. So what are the nouns that you want to keep information about? For example, in the school system, you want to know information about students. So now students can become like a table. Now, the characteristics of the students is what will form your columns, your field. So if I'm keeping info, if I want to create a database for my Alpha application to collect data from, let's say I'm creating a school system, right? I want to have information about the students, right? I want to have information about the teachers. I would like to have information about their classes and maybe some other things like that. This is just an example. Let's say you also want to have information about their parents. So each of these can form what we call a table. Now, what forms the table is just like your Excel, right? With your rows and columns. That's what a table simply means, rows and columns. Now, each of the column of your table is the field of the noun. So a student will have a name. So a name will form a column. A student will have a gender. You want to know if it's a male or female. A student will have a age, right? So that is the way of conceptualizing what your database will look like. So let me move from school. Let me use an example of a grocery store, a supermarket, what we call supermarket. Let's say a supermarket is wanting to store its information electronically. They want you to create a web application they can use for recording sales and purchases, right? Now, so before you can record sales and purchases, you must know, okay, what are the products? So in the supermarket, there are products, there are goods, and that product will form a table. That will be a product table. So let's say you are creating an alpha application for a supermarket now. It means that in your database, you have a product table, right? Now, in that supermarket, there are staff. Now, that staff as well will form a table. So if you look at it critically, what are the things that are forming tables? They are nouns, they are objects. You understand? So anything that, so when you are trying to conceptualize your software, right? Think about nouns, think about the objects, and use that to create your database backend. Then think about, okay, what are the features for these things? Then use that to create your columns. Now, this grocery store wants to use this web application for recording sales, right, and purchases. Now, purchases as well is an action, right? So it will also become a table because a purchase would infer the purchase date. What was the date it was purchased? Who was the vendor that supplied the purchase, right? So all those characteristics of what the purchase stands for will form the column. Are you getting me? So, okay, let's move away from that. Let's move away from that. So let's use another example of, okay, yeah, I'm here now. I'm teaching you conceptual modeling of data. In the buzzword of it, that's the big name is called, but I want to break it down for you so that you understand it, because when you are developing a product, most times you need data because most products are interactive. So you are collecting data. You are not just giving information. You are collecting data and you are using the data to also give out information. So you must understand how to how to model your data. So now let's use another example of a construction company. So let's say in a construction company now, there are contracts. People take contracts to do their jobs, to do their construction job. There are maybe clients as well. There are clients, there are contracts, there are projects, construction projects that they do, right? So each of these, you see, are objects. So you are going to itemize them as tables in your database. A database is simply a collection of tables. So in conceptualizing it, you have what we call entity. Entity is another name for noun that I explained to you earlier, noun or object. And entity is what forms your table. Then you have attributes. Attributes are the characteristics of the entity, and attributes is what forms your column. For example, this customer is a customer entity or a customer table. The attribute is the customer name, the customer number, right, and all other information about a customer, which forms columns. And you have product. Now, the relationship between the customer and the product is what makes a sale. Now, this sale, you also want to make it into another table where you store the sale information. So this is how we form database for interacting with our web application. So when a database is formed, you see the whole of the tables in a database can be represented in a form like this, right? That shows the interaction between all the entities. Now, this is just an example that shows the interaction of a school database system. Now, don't let this scare you. This is just tables that are collecting data for which something like your alpha application can interact with. Do you understand? So you have your teachers. Remember, I told you anything now or objects will form your tables. You have your teachers, you have your classes, you have achievements, you have events, things, let's say inter sports, whatever you want to record events. You have the students, you have, so all of these transcripts, students' addresses, these are, and you can even break it further, right? But the key things here are that the tables are named by the objects that they represent, and then use that to store data. So so now another thing I also want you to understand is the concept of primary keys in tables and databases. Now, when you create a table, a unique identifier for the record on the table is what is called primary key. So primary key is used to, let me go back to the previous table here so you can understand better. Let me use this one. So if you notice in each of these tables, you have what you call PK, PK, PK. Now, primary key are unique identifier for each record in the table. Now, for example, for teachers, the primary key is teacher ID. And what's the essence of the primary key? It helps you to fetch out a particular record when doing a search. So it's a unique way for you to identify every record in your table. And primary key sometimes are needed to be set before Alpha 5 can even use your table. But sometimes it's not compulsory. But understanding the concept of primary key is very important because it will help you for searching on the data records within your table. I won't want to go into indexes and triggers, but just understand the concept of primary key. Okay. Okay, so like I explained earlier, a good database, or just take this as a collection of tables, is one that divides your information into subject-based tables, right, to reduce redundant data, and then provides access with the information it requires to join the table together. The concept of primary key to identify unique record, and then when they are linking primary keys between tables, that can form what we call foreign key. Well, the main thing I just want you to understand here is the concept of tables, so that if you need to create a how would I put it? If you need to create a web application that uses your table at the base point for interacting with the data, then you can understand how to do that. So for you to, okay, let me just stop it. Let me stop this share. Okay, so for those of us that have done the first example, you would have seen that at some point it's created tables for you within your various database platform, either MySQL or MS SQL or Access, Microsoft Access. But the main point is you understanding the concept of tables. Even Excel as well uses the concept of tables. Each of your sheets is a table, tabular information with your rows and columns. But what makes Excel different from all other ones is that Excel uses what we call like a flat table structure. So in Excel, you cannot really link relationships between tables, but in other data environments, you can link relationships between tables. So for instance, in if you are able to understand this concept of database conceptualization, then for your Alpha 5 application, you could even create your database in either MySQL or Microsoft SQL. Then on Alpha 5, you create a web application that speaks to the database you have created. So I'm going to share my screen once more and show you how to create this database concept so that you can then connect that to Alpha 5. So I'm going to use Microsoft SQL to explain quickly. You can use MySQL as well. You can use Microsoft Access as well. You can use Oracle as well. Alpha 5 allows connection to any and many of these databases. So if you are using Microsoft SQL, what I would normally do is just to come to my SQL first, my Microsoft SQL environment, then create my database. So I'm creating a new database file. Okay, so once you create the database, you come here and create the tables. So you just click new table. I'm just taking forever. Okay, so for many of us, I know that probably Alpha 5 created the tables for us, but I'm just showing us how we can create the tables ourselves. Because you might want to create something much more elaborate and then just connect that to Alpha 5 to speak to. So now, just like I mentioned earlier, you need to define the characteristics of your table as a column. Are you hearing me? I hope I'm seeing this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
okay, good. So you need to define the how I put it, the characteristics of your table. So let's do this for a product table. So this will have a product ID. So the data type for a product ID, depending on the kind of data you want to store in that column, that will then determine the data type. So for product ID, I want to put in serial number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in data type, that is what we call integer. Just pick int. So this allow null simply means that should it be empty or you don't want it to be empty. So if I don't want it to be empty, I'll check that, I'll uncheck that it should not allow null. Then say product name. So product name is characters like Golden Mon, like milk and things like that. So that's alphabets, characters. So in in choosing the data type would be a character type. So it's called char, CHA. Now there are options of the character type. You have the nchar that is showing on my screen. You have the nvarchar. You have the varchar. Just select the varchar. So the varchar simply means variable character. And variable character means that if So this variable character 50 means that it should reserve 50 character spaces for the product name. But if the product name is 10, the remaining 40, it will save the space for somewhere, for some other, it will save the space in memory. Let me put it that way. Yeah. But so most times I advise that you use VACHAR. But on Alpha 5, this VACHAR would be displayed to you as character type, like we saw yesterday, char. So just pick the character type, whether char or VACHAR, but just make sure that you reserve enough number of spaces that will take the product name. So I can leave this as an allow no. So product name, and say amount. So for every product, there should be an amount. I'll say float. Float is the same thing as decimal. Then I can say what's it called? Product brand. I can say okay, so we can leave it here. We can leave it as this. So let's say this is the table. Then you give it a table name, products. New. I'll just create one more table and then I'll show you how to insert record on it here, and then quickly show you how to create a connection to it on Alpha 5, and you can update that to wrap up the class for today. So let's say staff ID, staff name, staff, let's say gender, female or female staff. Lastly, let's just say staff location. Let's say we have many locations the staff can work. So what location does the staff work? So let's just say save. Staff. Okay, so we have two tables now. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my Alpha 5 and connect to this table. I need to stop share so that I can get to my Alpha 5. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Can you see my screen?
No,
sorry.
no, ma.
We can't see the screen
Hello.
again.
No, hello, hello.
We can't see the screen again.
I'm coming. I think I've not shared. Let me reshare. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes, ma.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so let's bring up a new component. Let's use let's use a grid this time around. You did US yesterday. I just want to show you how to connect to a pre-existing database. I've shown you how to create the database earlier. Now I want to connect this. So I'm going to use a blank grid component, say okay. Okay, so now that you have, you can choose tabular, you can choose form like, you can choose whichever like you want, you can choose stack column like, let's just pick the form like, and then you can choose that it contains the set this or make it updatable or read-only. Let's make it updatable, but if you're making it updatable, detail view is going to be chosen on default so that I can update. So yeah, you define the components, and then now you come to data source. I can pick this SQL DB source, then come here, then I will set the connection name. So this connection name is very important. You must use the same login connection to your database. So now let's create the connection name. So to do that, just go to add connection and then say new. You can give it any name. I can leave it at default connection 3. Then I'll come here, I'll say build. So here you can choose the connection type. Just come and search for the type of your database where your connection is. I think in the recent version, they've even added Azure, I'm not sure. But these are also popular connections that you can use. Okay, so let's pick SQL Server. I'll say okay. So it pops this up for me, and then I can define the connection details. So this is still SQL Server. And here, I need to define my connection details. So define your version of SQL. 2017. My own SQL is 2019. Then I need to define my SQL Server details. I want to show us something. How can I make this thing not to be full screen? Because I have to be stopping and sharing. Okay, so I'm coming. Let me minimize this and see if it will allow me. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so okay, so this is what I want to show you. So I think someone was asking me about the connection string that she's having issues. So I said you should check your connection string. So whatever connection you use in connecting to your database is what you set in the connection string. So for example, this server name, you have to copy it and use it as your connection string, right? And if you are using MySQL as well, look for your login portal into your MySQL and use that to define your connection string. So for example, this is my own server name. I'll use that and then use my authentication as well. There are two ways you can authenticate SQL Server. You can use Windows authentication. You can also use SQL Server authentication where you specify login and password. But either of these two that you use will work for your Alpha 5 connection.
Well done, ma.
Thank you.
Before you leave that, please.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, go on.
I've also, yeah, before you leave that management studio.
Okay.
I've also installed that one, that on that software on my system. Okay. But where I have problem is that in that connect, I don't know what will I use to fill that server name that you just fill now. Did it just keep giving me an error?
Yeah, when you are trying to connect from here, it's giving you error.
Yes, after the installation of that management studio.
Okay, you know.
Now I click connect.
You know what? Try. Are you an administrator? Try Windows authentication.
Yes, I'm using Windows authentication.
And when you click connect, it doesn't work.
Yes, that server name. I don't know what will I use to feed that that piece.
The server name is fixed on default when you are installing the software. So your own will not be the same as my own.
Okay.
You understand? Your own will not be the same as my own. But the main thing is you should be able to connect. Like my own, if I connect, it will connect. So if I'm not able to connect, to test my connection here, then it will not work in my Alpha software. Because it's the connection there that I will now use to connect there. Do you understand?
I'm hearing you, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's connect here now. So I'll specify my server name. Then if I don't want to use username password, I'll just say use Windows authentication. And then for me to be sure it works, I'll click test connection. So if it gives me successful here,
we're not seeing your screen again.
Oh, okay. I'm coming. This share screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You can see it now.
Okay. So I said I can use Windows authentication here as well. Just check this box. And if I don't want to use, for those that are using MySQL and all that, I know MySQL uses a particular port number, but MSSQL doesn't. You just use the default specify username password, or you use Windows connection. So for you to be sure it's working fine, test the connection here first. If it's successful here, then you are sure that Alpha 5 will be able to connect to your tables. But if it's not successful, then you have to go back to your database environment and get the connection from there. Do you understand? I think someone was asking me a question.
No, I don't even read this place.
Okay, where did you get?
Where the problem lies that I cannot even access all these items in the management studio. No, it's the first time I want to use it. Now, what I want to ask is that do I need to pass some process to create my server name, or the server name we have as in after installation? Which server name will I use to connect as in to access the environment? That management studio.
Okay, so when you were installing, the server name would have been created. Now, when you bring up your, let me see, I have to stop share. I'm coming before I can bring up this. So let me close this and bring it up again. I'm coming. Share screen. Okay, so if you go to your if you go to your start window and bring up your SQL management studio, when you are trying to bring it up, the first thing it will pop up for you is the connection page. I'm coming here, this is coming up. I didn't want to introduce Management Studio to us in the first class because there are many options for database. You can even use Microsoft Access. So there you have options of what to use. You can use MySQL, you can use MS SQL. But what I just needed you guys to understand is the concept of database and how it works. Okay, so did you see this?
Yes, this is where the problem lies.
Okay, so on this screen, this server name, what does it display for you here?
It doesn't put anything there.
Okay, when you click this down arrow, like I'm clicking this down arrow, does it?
When I click the down arrow, it doesn't bring it. The thing is blank.
There might be an issue with installation. I think I know what you are going through. There might be an issue with your installation because that it means it hasn't installed the data, the SQL server. It has not. It has only installed Management Studio for you, but it didn't install.
Both the SQL server and the Management Studio, both of them, they are installed on my system. The software I download, install both.
No problem. I'll run this with you privately. I'll sort it out.
Okay, thank you.
Because you're sorted out here, then you'll be able to connect to SQL. But meanwhile, if you still want to practice before you get sorted, you can use another connection. You can connect to you can install Microsoft Access and use that as a connection, or you use inbuilt Alpha database. I think there's also an inbuilt Alpha.
You mean that Alpha DAO?
Yes, Alpha DAO.
I use that one. That one is successful. I connect to that one.
Okay, that's fine. Okay then, but I'll sort you out on this because I prefer that people even use this, but I didn't want to mandate this. This is optional, but in real life application, most times you connect to either an SQL database or an Oracle database. Most big organizations what they use, even small enterprises. So for mobile applications, most of them use PostgreSQL. You also find that option. I think Postgre is also free. You can download it and install. It's very light for mobile applications. So if you see yourself as a mobile app developer and you want to be using Alpha 5 for your mobile application development, you can download PostgreSQL and play around with it and use it to develop mobile app on Alpha 5. And but for most web applications, you use SQL Server or Oracle. So, or MySQL as well. MySQL is also very common. So either of those three. But I just wanted you guys to explore that yourself. And if you just want it to be on Alpha software alone, if you don't want to connect to any external database, you can use Alpha DAO database. So let me quickly complete that. I have to stop share again. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. I've taken extra 30 minutes, but I'm going to round up soon. I just wanted to show you. Okay, so now that we have a connection string, you see this is created on default, right? And we've tested it is successful, so we just say okay. So this is. Oh, sorry. Share screen. Okay. Yeah, I hope you are seeing it now. Okay, so this you can create as many connections you want. This is the connection I've just created, connection 3. You must take note of the name, and that's the name you use in creating your connection on Alpha 5. So I'm going to close this. So I'll now come here and select the connection. So this is the connection. I've selected it. Now I would build using this connection. Okay, so I can say okay. Then I would come to fields. Okay, now. Where are my tables? Okay, yeah. So this is what I'm looking for. So I'll come to this query. I want to select the table. So remember I created this table earlier. So it will go to my connection and fetch the tables there for me. So I need to specify the database name. Let me check. Sorry, use a named connection. Show edit. Where is my database? Okay, let's do refresh. Then I wanted to pick those tables that I created. Showing me a different table. Why? Okay, I'm coming. Let me use this. Edit SQL and query builder. Okay, the challenge is not showing me the tables I created. I need to, let me go back and refresh and see if those tables are successfully created in my database. Sorry, I have to stop share again. Come back here. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? So I want to come back and check for my tables. This is my database. Okay, so my tables are there, products and staff, RDSF test. Okay, so let's go back. Oh, okay, I think I see now. We didn't specify the database. Let me share my screen again so you can see. Okay, so we are here, right? The connection string. So let's go and edit the connection string. This is our connection string. We didn't specify the database, so we need to edit and pick the database. So let's go back to where we did the connection. So let's say explore. Okay, no, sorry. So build. SQL Server. Okay, so use Windows authentication. Then here we need to select the database. So I need to pick the database. Okay, wait, let me test connection again. Okay, sorry. I didn't specify the server name. So let's test connection. Succeeded, but we need to specify the database. Let's refresh. Okay, good. So you click refresh so that I can pop up the databases, and then you pick your database name. So this is the database we created. Can you see it? Our DSF test. So we pick the database. So you say okay. So we can also test the connection to be sure that it's working fine, because if it's not working fine, it will not allow you pick your records. So that's working fine. Close. Then now that we have our connection fully set, if you click on table now, it should display the correct table for us. So table, then come here to say select. So displaying the wrong table. So let me refresh. Refresh. Then say select. Yeah. Okay, let's do this again. Connection 3. Edit. Explore. Let me see. Why isn't it saved? Okay, so we need to save this RDCF test. Let me just copy this in case it doesn't copy correctly. It's not allowing me copy. Okay, so this database name must show. If not, it will not connect us to the right database. So let's say okay again. Showing here. Let's say okay. Okay, now it's updated here. So I'm expecting to work well now. Let's see. Close. To be sure it's updated, let me see what is displaying. Okay, fine, it's updated. Okay, so now let's refresh here. Let's select table. Okay, I think I'll do it. New. My connection. Build SQL Server, okay. My server name, SQL Express. Use Windows authentication. Refresh, give me my database. I want this one. Test connection is okay. Okay here. My connection name. Okay. Say okay. So let's use this one. Close. Okay, so let's change this to the new connection. Right. So this is selected. Then let's say okay. Yes. Okay, so now let's connect and then let's select. Okay, fine. So now you can see it's displaying the tables correctly. So these are the tables we created in our database, and Alpha 5 is able to pick it. So I can now come here on product, say okay. Then I can select primary key. I can order by, but let's just leave it as the default the way it is. Everything here is set. Then go to fields. Go to fields. So these are the fields that you want shown. You have to select them. So let's select all three or all the tables. So we can just do this. Select all the tables for display. Then now we can preview. Let's see what the preview looks like. Okay. There's no record in that table. That's why it's displaying this way. But let's come back here. The fields. I don't want this shown. I don't want this shown. Okay. Let's do update settings so that we can add new data on our fields. Right. Okay. Okay, so let's come here and see. Let's create new records and put in values. So should save to our database. So that record is saved. We can change the display. The display doesn't, I think you can change the display from here. The display of your grid is displaying to us as a form. We can change it to let me see. Okay, no. Okay, let's use this form and see. Okay, so this is one record added. We can add new records and we can remove some records we don't want. Let's see. So, what else? So the beauty of this is that as you update these records from here, it also goes into your database. This is allowing me to do multiple records at once. So we can submit. Okay, good. Okay, so let's stop this and then go check our database. We'll find the records there. Check our records in the database. Share screen. Okay, so if you check your database now, you would find those records there. So you can see those records that you imputed. So you can see you are collecting data already from your web application front to this place. We would of course change the look and feel of the web application to look nice. We'll work on that together against next class. But I just wanted you to see the power of Alpha 5 web application, creating a full application without coding. But you also need to understand the database concept. Alpha 5 can create the tables for you from Alpha anywhere, but you can also create the table yourself and connect to the table. And this is what you have also practiced in my first application, in all those documentations I sent to you. So yeah, I want you all to practice more. Those that have not been able to come up with anything, try, make a push, come up with something. Then on Thursday, I'm going to show you how to beautify it, how to make it look nice, and then how to deploy it. Then we'll end Alpha Anywhere teaching or training there. I'll then leave you to explore more on your own, but the main goal is to introduce you to it and to also guide you on how to use it. So that's all for today's class, or for today's catch-up. It's not a class, it's a catch-up, but of course we can continue to catch up on the WhatsApp platform. So I'll stop here for now. I don't know if there are any questions or any clarification, and I hope you were able to get one or two things from what I explained in the class today. But the best you can get is when you practice. And I really want us to give it a shot. Practice. You'll be so surprised.
Hello, ma. We can't hear you, ma.
What you can see yourself doing is very powerful too. And is it right code? Though writing code too is good. By the time we're doing data analysis, I will introduce you to some codes, some scripts you can use in doing your data analysis. Yeah, but I wanted you guys to know that you can also do powerful things without being able to write codes. At least a way of soft landing for people who don't like codes. Okay, so any question, clarification? Someone wanted to say something here. Hello? Hello? Someone wants to say something? Maybe that.
No, ma.
Okay. Is this class clear? Do you understand?
No, not really, ma. Not really.
Okay.
I got lost.
At what point did you get lost? At what point did you get lost?
I think his network is bad.
Okay.
Hello, ma. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I said I got at that when you launched that SQL server application, ma. Ma, is that application inside the Alpha Anywhere, or you downloaded it externally?
Yes, I downloaded it externally.
Okay, ma.
Yeah. Have you tried the assignment? I mean, the first application. What database did you connect to? Did you connect to Alpha connection, or you used MySQL, which database did you connect to?
Actually, ma, to be frank, I've not tried it, ma.
Okay. Okay, so this time around, when you want to try it, follow through with creating the database first. The assignment for this week is same thing as the one I gave you before, but instead of you creating your table from Alpha 5, from Alpha Anywhere. Alpha Anywhere is also same as Alpha 5 anyway, so in case I'm interchanging the words. So I want you now to create your tables first, the way I created mine in any database application that you are familiar with. You can use Microsoft Access, you can use Microsoft SQL, you can use MySQL. Create your tables there first, then connect to your tables from Alpha 5. From Alpha Anywhere.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
So I'm typing the assignment to the chat box. Yeah, the recorded video will be sent to you by Mr. Edison. Yeah, George, you can ask your question. You have the floor.
Okay, ma'am. I have a question. My question is that since there are various platforms we can use for the database, whether be it Access and MySQL, is there any form of advantage of maybe one over the other? And secondly, again, since you advise us not to use the Alpha Anywhere database, what could be the limitation of using that? Like, why are we not using the Alpha Anywhere database?
Yeah, very good question. Now, so Alpha Anywhere database is called Alpha DAO. Alpha DAO is actually very good as well, and it puts all your development in one place, as within Alpha Software. But Alpha Software knows that in most real-world applications, most organizations will tell you that they already have their database in Microsoft SQL. They already have their database in Oracle, and they want you to create a web application on top of their data. They understand. So for you to replicate such real-life scenario, that's why I'm saying that, okay, try your hands also on Alpha, also on Microsoft SQL Server or any other external database. The same process for SQL Server is also the same process for MySQL or for what's it called?
Access.
For Access. No, Access is even straightforward. Access is just like Access is from Microsoft Office, but most when we are installing Microsoft Office, we don't install Microsoft Access option. So you might want to reinstall your Microsoft Office and then choose Microsoft Access option. But yeah, for that one, you just pick the file, you just specify the file name. You don't need, in the connection string, you just specify the file name. So it's also straightforward.
Okay, thank you very much, ma.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'll look for the link to download Microsoft SQL Server, and then I'll send it to you on WhatsApp.
Hello, ma.
Yeah, go on.
Ma, what of people that are with SQL or Access?
People that what?
People that don't have any on SQL, Access, or for them.
Okay, good. It's actually free. So Microsoft SQL Server is free. I'll send you the link. You can download it as well. And I've shown you how to use it. It's just an option, but if you want to, you can use Alpha DAO tables. It's just an option. So you might not want to download and install it, but it's just an option I want you to also try. Okay. Okay, so I think we'll end the class here, so we can continue our discussion on WhatsApp. And for people who have installation issues, you can reach out to me. I think I promised someone that will resolve the installation of Microsoft Server together. Yeah, so yeah, with that, we're good. Okay, thank you, everyone. So we'll see you on Thursday. We'll meet again for this class.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.